Brock Lesnar grabbed that microphone on Raw last night, looked dead into the camera, and said you won't even know his name after this weekend. And I need you to understand something right now. That line was not confidence. That line was fear dressed up in a suit and tie. Because when a man who has conquered everyone, The Undertaker, John Cena, Roman Reigns, the UFC heavyweight division, when that man has to look into a camera and remind people of a 27-year-old's name, that is not a man standing on top of the mountain. That is a man standing at the foot of one. And the mountain? The mountain's name is Oba Femi, the ruler, the bringer of war. The man who, 4 weeks ago, hit Brock Lesnar with the fall from grace powerbomb and planted him like he was nothing, like he was just another body, like the beast incarnate was just prey. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Oba Femi actually ends Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 42? Yes or no? Because after what I'm about to break down for you today, your answer might change. And make sure you share this video because the WWE Universe needs to be having this conversation before Sunday. This is the match that will be talked about for years and most people still don't understand what is really going on here. Segment 1: The brutal message Oba sent on Raw. Let's start right there on Monday Night Raw, April 13, 2026. The final stop before WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. And WWE opened the show not with the world champion, not with Cody Rhodes, not with Gunther. They opened with this rivalry. Let that sink in. Triple H and Adam Pearce stood center ring because last week's contract signing descended into absolute chaos. These two men, Lesnar and Femi, they didn't sign anything last week. They chose to fight instead. And the brawl was so violent that security had to flood the ring just to pull them apart. So this week, Pearce made a decision. Both men would sign separately. No contact. No confrontation. Keep the match alive for Sunday. Paul Heyman came out first. Classic Heyman. Always the opening act, always setting the table. He applauded Pearce's decision, smooth-talked his way through his approval, and then introduced the Beast. Brock Lesnar walked to that ring with a purpose that you could feel through your television screen. Didn't waste a second. Signed the contract immediately. Like he was hungry. Then Heyman took that microphone and said something that caught everybody's attention. He said, that contract? That's not just a piece of paper. That is a death warrant. A Nigerian death warrant for Oba Femi. And before Heyman could even finish, Lesnar ripped the mic out of his hands, which, by the way, tells you something about Lesnar's mental state right now, and he stared into that camera and delivered his message directly to Oba Femi. You won't even know his name after this weekend. The fans in that arena? They started chanting Oba, Oba, Oba. Brock Lesnar, a man who has main event 9 WrestleManias, a man who ended The Undertaker's streak, was getting drowned out by chance for a 27-year-old who hasn't even had a single WrestleMania match yet. And Lesnar knew it. You could see it. That is not the face of a man in control. That is the face of a man who has spent 25 years being the most feared creature on this planet, and for the first time, he is genuinely uncertain. But then, and this is the part most people are sleeping on, Heyman turned to Oba Femi later that same night and made him an offer. He told Oba Femi that his door will always be open to him. That when, not if, when Femi needs to rebuild his career after Lesnar defeats him at WrestleMania, Heyman will be there. And Oba Femi looked at him, soaking in every word, and delivered the most cold-blooded, calculated response we have heard from any superstar in years. He told Paul Heyman it was taking everything inside of him not to beat Heyman's backside right there. The fans roared. They chanted, beat his ass. Oba smiled and said, I could. But the scars from that would heal. What won't heal is what I'm going to do to his beast at WrestleMania. Think about that. He didn't take Heyman's bait. He didn't get emotional. He chose the bigger target. He said the emotional wounds of losing to Oba Femi will last forever. And then he said the line that gave me chills. He told Paul Heyman, and honest Paul Heyman would have walked out here and said, my client is afraid of Oba Femi. Because I am the mountain he cannot climb. I am the mountain he cannot conquer. Michael Cole, on commentary, said he cannot recall a single superstar in the history of this company walking into a match against Brock Lesnar with this level of confidence and this absolute absence of fear. That is not a statement. That is a warning. Segment 2: How we got here, the rivalry that built itself. Now let me take you back, because some of you might be newer to this story and you need to understand the full picture of why this match at WrestleMania 42 is the most important match on that card for the future of WWE. It started at the 2026 Royal Rumble. Oba Femi entered that match and was absolutely dominating. We're talking manhandling bodies like they were crash test dummies. He was running through the field. And then Brock Lesnar, who had not been seen in months, showed up. And he eliminated Oba Femi. Now in the world of the Royal Rumble, eliminations happen. But the way Lesnar did it, with that smirk, with that look like he was swatting a fly, like Oba Femi was beneath him, that moment lit a fire under the ruler that has not gone out since. Fast forward to March 2026. Lesnar, on Raw, issues an open challenge. He says he doesn't care who steps up. He doesn't care what's on the line. He wants someone to come to WrestleMania and get conquered. And then the music hit, and Allegiant Stadium shook. Oba Femi walked through that curtain, locked eyes with Brock Lesnar, walked down that aisle, stepped into that ring, and then he picked Lesnar up and hit him with the fall from grace. The crowd absolutely lost their minds. Here is this 27-year-old from Lagos, Nigeria, 6'6", 310 pounds, dropping the most feared man in WWE history like it was nothing. And just like that, the match was made. Oba Femi vs. Brock Lesnar. WrestleMania 42. Opening match. Night 2. On ESPN. Let me repeat that this match is not a mid-card afterthought. Triple H put it on ESPN proper, live on the main channel, because they know what this match represents. This is the changing of the guard. This is the moment the new monster replaces the old one. Or at the very least, it is the night the throne gets challenged in the most violent way possible. Segment 3: The tale of the tape and why this is no ordinary match. Now let me give you the numbers, because the numbers matter here. Brock Lesnar, 48 years old, 6'4", 290 pounds, 10-time world champion, WrestleMania record of 6 wins, 6 losses over 12 appearances. The man who ended The Undertaker's 21-0 streak. The man who conquered John Cena, Roman Reigns, Triple H, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Dean Ambrose, Goldberg, and virtually every major name in this industry over a 25-year career. He is a former UFC heavyweight champion. He is legitimately one of the most physically terrifying human beings to ever set foot on this earth. Oba Femi, 27 years old, 6'6", 310 pounds, from Lagos, Nigeria, a 2-time NXT champion, a former NXT North American champion with a reign of 273 days. In his total broadcasted matches, he is 35-7. He has been on the main roster for less than a year and is already a top 5 most talked about superstar in all of WWE. He is bigger than Lesnar. He is younger than Lesnar. He is hungrier than Lesnar. And he is faster than any man his size has any right to be. This is not David versus Goliath. This is Goliath versus someone who is actually bigger than Goliath, has all of Goliath's tools, and is operating without a shred of doubt in his mind. WWE.com's own breakdown of this match lists the wild card as Paul Heyman's role at ringside. And that is where this story takes a turn that nobody is fully talking about yet. Segment for the Paul Heyman wildcard, the most dangerous element in this match. Here is what I need you to understand about Paul Heyman, because this is the chess match happening beneath the surface of this rivalry. Paul Heyman has spent his entire career being attached to the most dominant force in wrestling, not out of loyalty, out of survival and out of vision. He recognizes power. He attaches himself to it. He amplifies it. Look at the history. He was the advocate for Brock Lesnar for years. Then he became the special counsel, the wise man for Roman Reigns, and guided him through the longest world championship reign in modern WWE history. After Roman, he aligned with Seth Rollins as the Oracle, helping build the Vision stable. And then at WrestlePalooza, he came back to Lesnar. But here is what you have to ask yourself: why? Why, after all of this time, does Paul Heyman come back to Brock Lesnar at 48 years old when there are younger, hungrier stars rising through the ranks? Was it loyalty? No. Paul Heyman does not do loyalty without an agenda. Was it because Lesnar is the safest bet? Or was it because Heyman already sees what's coming? Was it because Paul Heyman, the smartest man in this business, has already decided that this is Brock Lesnar's final chapter and he wants to be there to manage the transition? And then he walks out Monday night and offers Oba Femi his services, his door, when Femi needs to rebuild, when Femi loses. But think about the framing of that offer. Heyman went out of his way to tell Oba Femi he likes him. He told him he's the most violent, fastest rising star since Lesnar himself. He openly compared them. He was not dismissing Oba Femi, he was evaluating him. He was auditioning him. Paul Heyman does not walk out and offer his services to someone he thinks will be irrelevant after Sunday. Paul Heyman does not invest his attention in a loser. So the question becomes, is Paul Heyman planning something for WrestleMania? Is the man whose entire career has been built on the perfectly timed betrayal, is he about to deliver the most devastating one yet? Because if Paul Heyman turns on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and aligns himself with Oba Femi, two things happen simultaneously. Lesnar's legacy ends on the grandest stage of them all, at the hands of the man Heyman already identified as the new beast. And Oba Femi is instantly elevated to a level of stardom that would normally take years to achieve, because he has the most credible mouthpiece in wrestling history standing in his corner. That is not a theory. That is Paul Heyman's entire career pattern playing out in front of our eyes. Segment 5: Oba Femi's promo and why the entire locker room felt it. Let me go back to that Oba Femi promo on Monday, because I want to sit in it for a minute, because it was genuinely one of the best things I have heard on Raw in years. Oba stood in that ring, signed the contract, and then turned to face Paul Heyman, who had come out uninvited to offer his services. And Oba didn't flinch. He didn't stutter. He spoke with the calm, measured authority of a man who has already seen the outcome. He said Heyman has never been an honest mouthpiece. He said if Heyman were honest, he would have walked out and said my client is afraid. He would have introduced Oba as the bringer of war. The mountain Lesnar cannot climb or conquer. He said there are 25 years of history that says Lesnar cannot be beaten, but there are 4 weeks of history that say he can be. And those 4 weeks? They belong to Oba Femi. He said I will slay the beast. I am the one and I have always been the one. I know it. Heyman knows it. The fans know it. That is not a promo. That is a declaration. And the crowd in that arena believed every single word of it. Michael Cole said it was one of the most commanding performances he has seen from any superstar going into a WrestleMania match. And Cole has been sitting at that table for decades. Oba Femi then shook the hand of Triple H, the boss, the game, the man who built NXT. And Triple H, who has watched Oba Femi since the earliest days of his development, shook that hand with genuine respect. That image alone should tell you everything you need to know about how this company views Oba Femi. Segment 6: Why Oba Femi winning is the only thing that makes sense. Now I know some of you are going to come into my comments and tell me Lesnar wins. And I respect that take, so let me address it directly. Could Lesnar win? Technically, yes. Absolutely. This is Brock Lesnar we are talking about. He has defied logic and destroyed expectations his entire career. 1 F5. That's all it takes. 1 F5 and this match is over and Oba Femi is picking himself off the mat wondering what happened to him. But here is the storyline reality. Brock Lesnar is 48 years old. He spent 2 years away from WWE before returning at SummerSlam 2025. AJ Styles is retired. John Cena is retired. Bryan Danielson is gone. The old guard is stepping aside, one by one. The WWE is in the process of a generational transfer of power, and they need someone to carry the monster role, the physical freak role, the person who makes the audience feel like they are watching something that should not be humanly possible. They found that person. He is 27 years old, born in Lagos, Nigeria, and he walks to that ring like he owns every square inch of it. Oba Femi is the new beast. He just has not been formally coronated yet. WrestleMania is the coronation. If Oba Femi pins Brock Lesnar, and I mean cleanly, decisively, standing over the body of the most dominant superstar of this generation, he becomes one of the biggest stars in WWE overnight. Not in a month. Not after a title run. Overnight. Because beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania puts you in a conversation that only a handful of people in history have ever been in. Roman Reigns is in that conversation. Goldberg is in that conversation. Steve Austin is in that conversation. And Oba Femi would join them at 27 years old. And if Paul Heyman is standing in his corner when it happens? If the wise man, the advocate, the most legendary figure in the management side of this business is by Oba's side when the 3 count hits? Then we are watching the birth of something that could define WWE for the next decade. Segment 7: The bigger picture and what WrestleMania 42 means. WrestleMania 42 is in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. And this match opens night 2 on ESPN, not the streaming service, ESPN proper, the flagship channel. Millions of people who might not even be regular WWE viewers will turn that on and see Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar as the first thing they witness. That is a statement from Triple H. That is him saying this match, this moment, this potential torch passing is important enough to put in front of the entire country. And think about what that means for the story we are telling. Imagine you are a casual viewer. You flip on ESPN. You see this massive 6 feet 6 inches, 310-pound Nigerian warrior walk to that ring with the presence of a king. You see the legend Brock Lesnar across from him. And over the next 20 or 25 minutes, you watch one of the most physically violent, hard-hitting, stiff matches in WrestleMania history unfold. And at the end of it, the young lion stands over the old beast. New fans are made. Old fans are reminded why they love this business. And Oba Femi becomes a household name before most of the card has even begun. This is the match. This is the moment. This is the night that the ruler actually rules. Closing/call to action. So here is where I land on all of this heading into WrestleMania Sunday, April 18th and 19th. Oba Femi is not just fighting Brock Lesnar. He is fighting 25 years of history, 25 years of fear, 25 years of a name that has made grown men tremble before a bell even rings. He is fighting the monster. The real one. The original one. And he is doing it without flinching, without doubt, without a single moment of hesitation. Lesnar said you won't know his name after this weekend. But I'm going to tell you something: after WrestleMania 42, the name Oba Femi will not just be known, it will be feared, it will be respected, and it will be spoken in the same breath as every legend who came before him. The beast's time is over. Comment below right now, do you think Paul Heyman turns on Lesnar at WrestleMania and becomes the wise man of Oba Femi? Because I think the seeds are already planted. And if it happens, it will be the single greatest moment of WrestleMania 42. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Smash that like button. Subscribe to Ring Rumble 1 for all your WWE coverage, because we are going to be breaking down every single moment of WrestleMania 42 this weekend. The ruler is coming. And no one, not even the Beast, can stop what is about to happen.